Hi friends, how are you? So in this time I discuss about atoms. Atom is the very most important topic. Class 12 chemistry, physics. Okay, very most important topic. So in this time I discuss about only summary NCERT thoroughly reading. So first you understand atoms as a wholes in electrically neutrals and therefore contains equal amount of positive and negative charge. In Thomson model, an atoms in a spherical uh, could of positive charge with electrons embedded in it. The Rutherford model, most of the mass of the atoms and all its positive charge are concentrated in a tiny nuclear, typically 1 by 10 thousands the size of an atoms. The electrons revolved around it. Next, Rutherford nuclear model has two main difficulties in explaining the structures of atoms. It predicted that atoms are unstable because the is accelerated electrons revolving around the nucleus must is spiral spirals into the nucleus. This contradicts the stability of matter. It cannot explain in the characteristics line spectra of atoms of different elements. Next, atoms of each elements are stable and emit characteristic spectrum. The spectrum consists of a set of isolated parallels lines terms as lines spectrum. It provides useful informations about the atomic structure. Next, the atomic hydrogen emits a line spectrums consisting of various series. The frequency of any lines in a series can be expressed as a difference of two terms. First, Lehman series V is equal to RC into 1 by 1 square minus 1 by n square. N is equal to 2 3 4. Next, Balmer series V is equal to RC 1 by 2 square minus 1 by n square. N is equal to 3 4 5. Next, Paschen series V is equal to RC into 1 by 3 square minus 1 by n square. N is equal to 4 5 6. And Beckett series V is equal to RC 1 by 4 square minus 1 by n square is equal to N is equal to 5 6 7. Next topic, fund series. Okay, V is equal to RC into 1 by 5 square minus 1 by n square. N is equal to 6 7 8. So all topic is very most important. Lehman series, Balmer series, Paschen series and Beckett series and fund series. Next, to explain the lines spectrums emitted by atoms as well as the stability of atoms, Niels Bohr proposed a models of hydrogen single atoms. He introduced three postulates and laid the foundations of quantum mechanics. Okay, next I discuss about in a hydrogen atoms and electrons revolves in certain stable orbits called stationary orbits without the emissions of radiant emissions of radiant energy. The stationary orbits are those from which the angular momentum is some integral multiples of h by 2 pi. Bohr's quantization such a conditions that is L is equal to nh by 2 pi. L is equal to nh by 2 pi. It is very most important topic where n is the inertial called a quantum number. Next topic, the third postulate states that an electrons might mark a transitions from one of its specified non-radiating orbits to another of lower energy. When it does so, a photon is emitted having energy equal to the energy difference between the inertial and final states. The frequency V of the emitted photons is then given by h mu is equal to ef minus ei minus ef, initial minus final. Next topic, and atoms absorb radiations of the same frequency the atoms emits, in which case the electrons is transferred to an orbit with a higher value of n. Ef plus h mu is equal to ef. Okay, sorry, ei plus h mu hv is equal to hf. Final initial plus hv is equal to ef. Next, as a result of the quantization conditions of angular momentum, the electrons orbits the nucleus at only specifies ready. For a hydrogen atom, it is given by Rn is equal to n square by m into h by 2 pi square, 4 pi epsilon naught by e square. Okay, Rn is equal to n square by m into h by 4 pi square into 4 pi epsilon naught by e square. The total energy is also quantized. En is equal to minus m e to the power 4 by 8 n square epsilon naught square h square is equal to minus 13.6 electron volt by n square. The n is equal to 1 state is called group ground state. In hydrogen atoms, the ground state energy is minus 13.6 electron volt. Higher value of n correspond to exist state n greater than 1. Atoms are exist to these three to this higher state by collisions with other atoms or electrons one or by absorptions of a photons of right frequency. Okay, next topic, de Broglie's hypothesis that electrons have a wavelength lambda is equal to h by mv gave an explanations for Bohr's quantized orbit by bringing in the wave particles duality. The orbits corresponds to circular standing waves in which is circumference of the orbit equal a whole number of wavelength. Next topic, হচ্ছে Bohr's models is হচ্ছে applicable only of hydrogenics হচ্ছে single electrons atoms. It cannot be extended হচ্ছে to events to electrons হচ্ছে atoms such as helium. This model is also unable to explain হচ্ছে for the relative intensities হচ্ছে of the frequency হচ্ছে emitted even by hydrogen atoms. Next topic I discuss about points to ponders. Okay, both the Thomson as well as the Rutherford model constitute and হচ্ছে unstable systems. হচ্ছে Thomson model is unstable electrostatically, while Rutherford model is unstable হচ্ছে because of electromagnetic radiations of orbiting হচ্ছে electrons হচ্ছে who made হচ্ছে Bohr's quantize হচ্ছে angular momentum second postulates and not some other quantity হচ্ছে note h has dimensions of angular momentums and for circular orbit angular momentum is a very relevant হচ্ছে quantity. The second postulate হচ্ছে is then so natural হচ্ছে the orbital হচ্ছে pictures in Bohr's models of the hydrogen atom of inconsistent হচ্ছে with the uncertainty principle হচ্ছে it was হচ্ছে replaced হচ্ছে by modern quantum mechanics is in which Bohr's orbit or regions where the electrons may be হচ্ছে found with large probability, unlike the situations in the solar system where planets where planet planar gravitational force as very small as compared to the gravitational force of the sum of each planet because the mass of the sun is so much greater than the mass of any of the planets. the electrons electric folds interactions is comparable in magnitude to the electrons nucleus electrical force because the change and distance change and distance are of the same order of magnitude. This is the reasons why the Bohr's models why this is the reasons why the Bohr model with its planets like electrons is not applicable to many electrons atoms. নেক্সট টপিক হচ্ছে বোর্ডস লেট দ্য হচ্ছে ফাউন্ডেশনস অফ দ্য কোয়ান্টাম হচ্ছে থিওরি বাই হচ্ছে পস্টুলেটিং হচ্ছে স্পেসিফাইজ হচ্ছে অরবিট ইন হুইচ ইলেকট্রনস ডু নট হচ্ছে রেডিয়েট হচ্ছে বোর্ডস মডেল ইনক্লুডস হচ্ছে অনলি দ্য কোয়ান্টাম নাম্বারস এন হচ্ছে দ্য নিউ থিওরি হচ্ছে কল্ড কোয়ান্টাম মেকানিক্স হচ্ছে সাপোর্টস হচ্ছে বোর্ডস postulated হচ্ছে however in quantum mechanics more হচ্ছে generally হচ্ছে accepted a given energy হচ্ছে live হচ্ছে may not হচ্ছে correspond to just one quantum state. For example, a state is characterized by four on quantum state হচ্ছে for example a state হচ্ছে is হচ্ছে characterized by four হচ্ছে quantum number n l m s n l m s হচ্ছে but for a pure হচ্ছে coulomb potential as in hydrogen atoms the energy depends only on n. In Bohr's model contrary to ordinary classical expectations, the frequency of revolutions of an electrons in its orbit is not connected no to the frequency of spectral lines. The laterals in the difference between two orbit energies divided by h for transitions between large quantum number n to n minus 1 n very large. However, the two coincide as expressed boards semi-classical models based on some aspect of classical physics and some aspect of modern physics also does not provide a true picture of the simplest hydrogenic atoms. The true pictures is quantum mechanical affairs which differs from Bohr's models in a number of fundamental way. But then if the Bohr's model is not strictly correct, why do we bother about it? The reasons which make Bohr's models still useful are the models is based on just three postulates but it accounts for almost all the general features of the hydrogen spectrum. The model incorporated many of the concepts we have learned in classical physics. Next, the modern demonstrates how a theoretically physicist occasionally must quite literally ignore certain problems of approach in hopes of being able to make some predictions if the predictions of the theory of modern agree with experiment theoretically then must somehow hopes to explain away or rationally analyze the problems that were ignored along the way. So thank you, take care, goodbye. I complete this unit is atoms. This summary is very most important. Okay. Points to ponders, it is very most important topic and it is very most important topic. Okay, so thank you, take care, goodbye.